Hi, I'm Brian Haberlin, and I want to tell you a little bit about my new book coming out in October, Hellcop. Hellcop's been rattling around my brain for decades. When I launched Avalon Comics with Whilce Portacio, Hellcop was one of the initial launches, but I was wearing a lot of hats back then. So I gave over the reins to Joe Casey and Gilbert Monsanto, and they did a great job, but it was my baby. If you look at sketchbooks I've done over the years, there's Hellcops throughout. There are pages started, stories started. So let me tell you a little bit about the story. Discovering a whole new world that had only previously existed in our collective imaginations. A tale of adventure, betrayal. Hell's just another place, another planet with native creatures most on Earth would call monsters. And humans that have been there as long as they've been here. Doctors, lawyers, maybe too many lawyers. Please join me in October for the release of Hellcop and the Hellcop 3D Halloween special. Hey, I want to say thanks for watching, and I really hope you can go and ask your retailer to pick up Hellcop for October. There's going to be a 3D version with 3D glasses and the whole 9 yards, and the regular version, of course, too, with some pretty fun covers. Thank you for your attention, your support, as always, and hope you guys have a great day.
What's up, the internet? I'm Kyle. That's Dan. And that commercial we just saw was from mutual friend of both of ours, Brian Haberlin.
Yep. And Brian just posted on Facebook not too long ago that the Hellcop orders are in, and it's one of the highest books that he's done in a few years, highest ordered books he's done in a few years. So people seem to be drawn to that book.
That's great. I mean, I know you're friends, you're tight with Brian, right? You guys are good friends.
Yeah.
He and I have become friends over the years after I carried his book Anomaly around on my back for an entire C2E2 and pretty much crippled myself, but it was worth it because that book was amazing.
That book is amazing. Yeah.
So shout out to Hellcop, shout out to Brian Haberlin. Reach out to your favorite Experience store about getting your copy.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Jeff. Hello, Sean. Welcome to the show.
Yes. So, Dan, after several weeks where we've had a great many crossover books and low weeks in terms of number of books, this one we have a great many books in general, including a fair number of crossover books. I know.
I didn't think we'd have that many with all these Scout and Ablaze and Ahoy and all the number ones coming out this week. Yeah.
My pull list alone is estimated at $200 this week. So, yeah, I might have to split it up over a couple weeks. So let's just jump right into it, shall we?
All righty.
We're going to start with, this is from Red 5 Comics. This is one that is not a shared book. This is The Verge, number 1. So The Verge is by Bryce McClellan and Silvio DB. Excuse me. A mysterious time travel event known as The Verge has brought thousands of people from across history to New York City. Vikings, samurai, Romans, Mayans, cavemen, and thousands of others all live in the vast and turbulent melting pot that is Manhattan. Connie Liu, an NYPD detective, investigates the murder of 3 samurai, a case which threatens to turn the divisions in the city into all-out war. So the concept behind The Verge is that there are people from all over time and space. Well, really time. In Manhattan. And all of these different factions have their... what I'm looking for. Their things. Their things they do. You know, like if you're a Viking, you're going to pillage.
Your cultural stuff.
Right. If you're a samurai, you're going to samur, I suppose.
Yes.
If you're a caveman, you are going to hit animals over the head with bones. Although cavemen in Manhattan doesn't seem all that out of place.
No.
But no. So this is from Red 5. It's an interesting concept. It's about a woman who's trying to keep the peace despite the fact that the setting doesn't really lend itself to that.
I like the concept. I like the idea that all those different cultures and from time are being merged together, and that one poor cop has to, we're following a cop trying to keep the peace. That's a really good concept.
Right. It's like, hey, you samurais over there. Hey, you Vikings over there. Let's stay on opposite sides of Central Park. You know.
Yep.
All right. This book you talked a little bit about last week, but it's actually out this week.
Yes, I am so looking forward to this one. I noticed Nancy McKeon posted an image of herself holding that already today. This is Batman versus Bigby, A Wolf in Gotham #1. Bill Willingham, Brian Level, and the solicitation says, with the blood dry as Gotham's fourth gruesome murder scene in as many weeks, Batman is stumped. The same hallmarks haunt each investigation. Brute force entries, bodies ripped to shreds, stamped with enormous bite marks and clumps of fur, wolf fur, scattered in the wreckage. The streets buzz with rumors of the werewolf of Gotham. Determined to crack this case, Batman finds no leads and a mysterious, hairy, chain-smoking figure dogging his every move. The Dark Knight's dangerously close to losing his cool when a series of bombings leveled the city's libraries in the days leading up to the 32nd annual Gotham Literary Festival. As Batman narrows in on the bookworm and his literary henchmen, he discovers that an invaluable book from another world is at the center of the violence. Stranger still, the wolf is in on it. But what kind of monster is built from such brains and brawn? And is he an enemy or an ally? Worlds collide as Gotham's mystery, as a Gotham mystery kickstarts a return to the world of fables. Okay, we got so many great stuff going on right there. It's Bill Willingham going back to fables. It's Bigby from fables. It's a Batman mystery, which is always going to get me. It's Black Label, so it's got some kick-ass in there. And then you throw in the frickin' bookworm from the old Batman 1966 series that has appeared in comics, but not in the way he's, this appears to be more true to the old 66 series, where they did try to make a Huntress version of the bookworm, a Huntress villain for her, and didn't really stick to what made the character cool in the TV show, which, was mainly Roddy McDowall. But, yeah. So I am really looking forward to this. Again, Bill Willingham returning to Fables, though, is probably the marquee on this one.
Yeah. I mean, Fables has been away for a little while. And, Fables is one of those books that if you've not paid attention, wasn't always a DC main label book.
Right.
It was a Vertigo book, and they've tried to kind of push it off to other imprints at DC because it's never felt truly DC.
Right.
This is a great way to be like, actually, Fables is DC mainline, y'all. So I appreciated this book.
And by the way, that is one of the best solicitations I've come across in a long time.
It's true.
I mean,
I bet Bill wrote it.
It's the back of a book. It's it's the book cover synopsis, and that's, the lost art of the solicitation writing. I mean, come on. We have come across some really bad ones. I have one particularly on the list.
Mm-hmm.
That
it's
is
like one sentence.
Yes, it is. Barely a sentence.
Right. They forgot the verb.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, all right. A book that I'm not really going to read the solicitation on. I'm just going to put it up. This is Ruby Justice League #6, and the only reason I even put it on there is look at that Starro cover by Mirka Andolfo.
That's nice.
If you're interested, this is the Ruby team plus the Justice League are teaming up to fight the war with basically a bunch of remnants, including Starro. So,
Sean says this has been an interesting series to read. He said he must say that. So,
yeah. I mean, it seems like it would be. It seems like an unlikely pairing.
Yeah,
but Starro.
Oh yeah.
All right, this is Children of the Plague.
Yes, a new one from Dark Horse.
Yes, this is one of our shared books, Dan.
Okay. Do you want to take this? You want me to?
Well, it's by Robert. It's written and drawn by Robert Love with colors by Jeffrey Kimbler and letters by old friend David Walker. So when kids are suddenly infected with a disease from outer space and begin forming mysterious superpowers, they become children of the plague. These children are rounded up, tested on, and put into battle by the evil Valmount Corporation. Remy, a young female Indo-American infectee who develops powers of her own, must fight to free herself and her brother from a life of war and servitude. Can they find a way to free themselves? Find out in this 32-page book.
I'm kind of curious about this is a self-contained one-shot, right?
I don't see solicitation on a second book. But it is a one-shot. Sorry.
Yeah. Now I'm kind of curious the war they're fighting or what it is they're fighting. It's kind of interesting that they left that out of the solicitation.
It is, but having I don't know what David Walker's role is in this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it says he's the letterer, but knowing David, there's a level of, I suspect, leaving it open for a future ongoing.
Oh, probably.
So my guess is that what they were trying to do is be purposefully vague and may leave people demanding more. So I'm already demanding more.
I just want more information, but yeah.
All right, we have Darkhawk number 2.
Yes. It was fun talking to Danny Fingeroth about Darkhawk. God, how long ago was that now? But this is
it's been a month.
Yeah. This is by Kyle Higgins and Juanan Ramirez. Connor Young, star point guard, recently diagnosed with MS and the new armored hero Darkhawk. But why was he chosen? What is his destiny? Fate? Cosmic coincidence? And what does it mean for his path forward? He'll need to figure this out soon before he has a run-in with a certain web slinger. And if I remember correctly, wasn't Spider-Man one of the first people he came across in the original Darkhawk series?
He was.
I'm curious, in this particular Marvel universe, you got options. It could also be Miles Morales.
Could be.
Doesn't have to be Peter Parker. Again, when I was a kid, Nova came out, and it was like a chance to jump on a new Spider-Man series. They would do that occasionally. They'd start these new characters that were kind of that era's Spider-Man. 70s was Nova, 80s was I can't think of who it was at the moment, but 90s was Darkhawk. Well, we're coming back around to Darkhawk again, so it's another chance to jump on. You could probably get the first issue still at your local shop if you haven't picked it up already. I've read it. It's a good first issue. I'm looking forward to number 2.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think of who the 80s new Spider-Man was. Or was it Spider-Man? Because that would have been...
I know they did Sleepwalker, but I don't think he counted.
I'm just wondering if because that would have been the McFarlane take, that run where it was just Spider-Man. It was an Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I am not 1,000% sure on that one.
All right. No, Speedball.
Yep, you're right. All right. This is Touching Evil number 17. This is from Source Point Press. One of the big reasons this made the list this week is, one, I've been reading Touching Evil since when it was being self-published. But it's written and drawn by Dan Doherty, who will be on Dan Wickline's show next week on the 5th. Yes. A mother, a son, one is dead. All that is left is revenge. But when is it enough? And is killing evil the same as doing good? Join us in the latest issue of this third and final story arc. Touching Evil is a very interesting story to me. So interesting, in fact, that I've like paid for print runs and things on this book. So I really have enjoyed Touching Evil, and we're getting to the point where it's wrapping up. They're about to do the Kickstarter for the final issue. To bring the whole story to an end. And it will be interesting for those of us who have been around since the beginning to see where it ends up.
You just reminded me I need to get those PDFs.
Yeah, you need to read it?
Yep. Just clicked on that email, got them up there to download after the show.
There you go. Yes. I also just hung out at SourcePoint all weekend. They had a convention called OxyCon. That is the parent company of SourcePoint Press put on. It's SourcePoint and Deepwater Games and N3 Art all put on this convention together, and we were there, and it was a lot of fun. Got to hang out with Garrett Gunn. Got to hang out with Josh Werner. Got to hang out with Dr. Christy Blanche. So always a good time. All right. This is Turbo Kid, Apple's Lost Adventure. Turbo Kid. Let me click the right things here. This is from Behemoth Comics. In this first issue, the Turbo Rider faces the robot war, and Apple discovers a path that leads to the kid. A path full of blood, gore, fights, synth music, and of course, BMX. I don't know how any of that makes any sense or pulls it all together, but it's Behemoth Comics, which is my jam. And this book has a lot of like 80s kind of vibe to it, with more blood and gore than your traditional 80s vibe.
So it's like Stranger Things, but the fun stuff.
Yeah. It's Stranger Things if you added more blood.
We could do that.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
All right. The next book up is one of mine. This is
the box.
The Box. You don't want to know what's in this one because it does not go well for you if you open it.
It didn't go well for him in the movie either.
It's true. This is Josh Starnes from Red 5. This is 2 books from Red 5 this week, ironically. And Raymond Estrada. Leo has found the kidnapped professor and the box's original owner with him, Methuselah. Even if he can get away, Methuselah and the mob. Even if he can get away, Methuselah and the mob, he knows they'll go after Claire to get at him and the box, and she is still locked up in Sing Sing. Can he get her out, or should he just hand the box over and be done with it? So, if you remember at the end of the first book, Leo is looking for this kidnapped professor who knows the deal with the box. But in finding him, he finds this mob boss who claims he owns the box and wants it back. So what do? Do you keep the box? Do you give the box to the mob? Do you risk your family and friends over the box? What's in the box? Why is there a box? Why is it not a cylinder of some kind?
First question's got to be, does he like his family and friends?
Well, that's fair.
I mean, just because they're family and friends doesn't mean you actually like them.
That's true.
Just saying.
Super true.
I happen to like my friends and family, so if any of them were watching, I wouldn't trade you in for a box, I promise.
For my friends and family that are watching, we'd have to negotiate. Firefly River Run.
Ah, yes. Another, that's a Boom Studio book. I was changing it up this week, trying to hit a couple different publishers, and let me find my...
So this is by David Boer.
Who you just had on
yes.
Miss Jen's show, right?
Yes, he was on with Miss Jen yesterday. It's David Boer and Andres Genolet.
The great lengths Dr. Simon Tam had to go to in order to save his only sister River from her captors are finally revealed in the special standalone issue. So this is a setup for the Firefly show. Because when we meet these characters, they're on the run. So this is the story of what Simon had to do to save his sister, get her out of there. And then, so it's the prequel to it in a way. Follows Simon's fall from grace as he risks it all and races against time to save River, even as she struggles to hold on to her sanity. The truth of River's life in the Alliance Academy facility, what really happened to her there, and the origin of Firefly's greatest sibling bond is finally revealed by writer David S. Boer and artist Andres Genolet. Genolet? From Runaways.
I think it's Genolet.
Okay. So, yeah, Firefly fans, this is an area that we've always wanted to know more about and haven't had a chance to see yet. So,
absolutely. Yeah, this is David Boer, who is a big Firefly fan. Getting to tell a story that we don't get in the show. You know, it's a story you don't get in the movies. It's a story you've not gotten in any of the many volumes of Firefly comics that have come out.
Yep.
So this is an opportunity to get a backstory that has been oft sought after but never really visited. Sean Butler, would you recommend I check this out? I don't know. Would you try to take the sky from me?
I'm going to just let that go. I really like this cover. My only quibble with it is the fact that it really looks like Simon from the top of his head to his mouth, and then suddenly he's got Bruce Campbell's chin.
It's true.
Other than that, it's a beautiful cover. Chin's just a little pronounced for the character.
I've really been a big fan of the Firefly books from Boom.
Yeah, they do a good job, and that is a cover that is going to get people's attention on the shelf.
Absolutely. All right, let's do. Hey, look, it's Robin Hood.
Hey, look, another Robin Hood #1. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, of course, our buddies over at Zenoscope. This one's written by Joe Bruscia. They don't have an artist listed as usual, but Robin has taken on all types of evil, from sleazy and seamlessly untouchable billionaires to monsters worshipping cults and crazed psychopaths. Though one thing remains in common, she has always come out on top. But when she becomes the target of a mysterious hunter out for blood in Robin's head, all the luck and the skill in the world might not be enough to stop her from becoming a trophy for this demented predator. So this is kind of a cool thing they haven't done yet. They've put her on the hunted side. You know, she's always been the one out there. She's been the Oliver Queen going after the bad guys, and now suddenly she's the one being hunted.
Yeah, she's maybe my favorite character they have over there right now.
Mm-hmm.
That they regularly do stuff with, I should say.
Yes.
And
everyone's favorite is the Sinbad, but they don't do enough with him yet. Sorry, self-serving.
Okay. Right. Yeah. I was just gonna let that hang there for a second. No. For me, the thing about this one that's really the most interesting is, that flip of the coin. I've always really liked her as the aggressor, sort of.
Yeah.
But when the hunter becomes the hunted, in the fighting man's most dangerous game, it'll be interesting to me to see how that works.
Mm-hmm. And there's a reason why a lot of these types of characters end up having this type of story. It's the natural progression.
Right.
So it was about time they were going to get to this anyway.
Absolutely. Okay.
Nice trees in the background. That's a good... Yeah.
It is a good cover.
Yeah.
Done by Barnuevo. Which, like I said, I really like that cover. So, all right. Let's do one more and then we'll take a break. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Transmorphers. Transformers.
Yes.
This is
The 2021 Halloween special.
yes.
Dan Waters, Bethany McGuire-Smith. Whispers of a disembodied spark howling alone in the desert are floating around Cybertron. Whispers of Starscream's loyalty to Megatron's cause are also floating around. Frustrated and needing some space to clear his head, Starscream visits the desert and is surprised to actually hear the rumored screams. He follows the sound and is met with a creature that makes him question what it means to be a cybernetic being. Starscream faces off with this grotesque experiment in I have no mouth and I must Starscream. Yeah, I like that. That's just Starscream is the most whiny robot I've ever come across, and I just love the idea that he's dealing with the ghost.
And I put this up as the retailer incentive cover, which
That's
is
cool.
just amazing.
Yeah, that is very cool.
Yeah, I'm all about this cover right now. So, hi Jenna. All right.
Hey, Jenna.
Yes. So the thing about the Transformers Halloween special is that you're talking about a spark, right? Which is the thing that gives Autobots and Decepticons their power.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a lost or missing spark, or there's a spark that's unclaimed, it's potentially a really big deal.
Yeah, it's another Transformer waiting to be, find a home type of thing.
Right. So I mean, it's the beginning of destiny. So yeah, it's an interesting concept too. To be like, oh, we're gonna send Starscream again, like you said, the most annoying Transformer out after this ghost. Maybe he can get possessed by this spark and be better. I got my doubts.
Me too.
So, all right. We're going to take a quick break here on The Experience. Dan and I will be back in just a couple of minutes with more books, including a book that I'm incredibly excited about, and a book that I'm incredibly excited about, and a book that I'm incredibly excited about, and a book about turtles. So,
Which he's probably incredibly excited about.
yeah. So we'll be back in just a few minutes here on The Experience.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
Oh, the music didn't play. Hold on. That's better.
Yeah, that music
Except now Dan's all blurry. There we go.
Yeah, that music gives me all the energy to get through the show, you know?
So that song is actually called, oh, God, I'm going to forget the name of it. But it's been my theme music on every live show I've done for a while now.
Nice.
Yeah, but the band is the Fish Rips, which is a great name for a band, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, not bad.
So let's come over here to 10 Years to Death, which is Aaron Douglas and Cliff Richards. Different than Cliff Richard, the musician.
Yes.
But 10 Years to Death, written by Aaron Douglas, who was chief on Battlestar Galactica. The Shawshank Redemption meets The Sixth Sense, inspired by an eerily bone-chilling true story. A newly hired prison guard, a notorious mass murderer, finally incarcerated for his crimes, and the death that binds them together. What happens when the murdered becomes the murderer? A prestige format one-shot featuring top created talent, 10 Years to Death, is a horrific, unnerving tale conceived and written by Aaron Douglas, chief from the iconic TV series Battlestar Galactica, and drawn by Cliff Richards of Shock and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So my understanding is that this story comes from a real place in terms of a story that Aaron's family told him about a member of his family. So interesting, kind of maybe a little realer than we'd like to admit when we read the book, but definitely a ghost story with a strange death story mixed in there. That cover is creepy.
It is.
You're just like, why is his arm hanging there like that? Like, in prison, that's not a good way to sleep. Somebody will break your arm.
Or slit your wrist.
Or slit your wrist. Or give you a tattoo you don't want. There's a lot of things that can happen.
Or put something in your hand.
Yeah, like the shiv that they just used to shank a guy.
Yes.
Because family-friendly show, Daniel.
I didn't say put what in the hand. You're the one making assumptions.
Anyhow, yeah, this book has been a long time coming. It's a great big book. Square bound from Aftershock. One shot. Be excited about this book, guys. This sounds really, really good. All right. Gun Honey. Is this a gun covered in a slightly sticky, syrupy substance? Maybe. But it's from Titan Books in their hard case series.
Yeah, this is from the actual co-creator of Hard Case Crime Publishing, Charles Arday, along with Ang Hor King, and the cover by Bill Sienkiewicz. So right there should get your attention, the Sienkiewicz cover. But this is Charles' debut graphic novel. He's an award-winning writer, and I love the solicitation for simply the sentence at the end, but it's, when a gun smuggled into a high-security prison leads to the death of dozens and the escape of a brutal criminal, notorious weapons smuggler Joanna Tan is enlisted by the U.S. government, find the man she set loose and bring him down. The sentence I love is, Charles Arday is very smart and a very cool fellow, Stephen King. If I had a quote from Stephen King saying that I was smart and very cool, or very smart and very cool, I would put it in every solicitation I put out.
Agreed.
Yeah, if you're a pulp fan or a noir fiction fan, Hard Case Crime has been your best consistent bet for years now. This is where a lot of authors have gone. A lot of hard-boiled detective series are over there. Stephen King put the Colorado Kid out through this company. Lawrence Block has a bunch of stuff from these guys. Christy Faust put out some of her first novels, or some of her first noir fiction through this company. And she's also one of the ones that came over and started doing the comics with them. So, yeah, I love this company, and I love that they're doing comics now. So that's why this one's on my list.
Yeah, absolutely. They did Hard Case had some stuff, some of the Minky Woodcock stuff, and what was the other series they did, Daniel? You probably remember.
Yeah, this is a number one, Sean.
Yeah, they were doing some of the Titan with Hard Case was doing some of like the spin-offs of the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yes.
And Nikola Tesla mystery stories. Everything they've done has been really solid. Like it says at the top of that image, Hard Case Crime presents good, clean, bare-knuckled storytelling. This is an exciting line of books. Stephen King.
Again,
if you put Stephen King on the front and the back of your book, and Stephen King didn't write it, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if you're a fan of hard-boiled detective novels or the old film noir stuff, this is the new home for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, pick one up and just settle in.
All right, let's talk about this guy. This is the outfit I like least on him, by the way.
Yeah,
not enough orange. I mean, the mask is right there by his foot. But I like the more orangey suit.
Yeah. Because not many people can pull off orange, and he does.
Right. Also, he apparently can pull off the cowl as he's holding Batman's cowl.
Yes. Joshua Williamson, Howard Porter, Deathstroke Inc. #1. After suffering too many losses, Slade Wilson decides it's time for a change. When he is enlisted to work with an ages-old secret organization called Trust, that's with periods between each letter, who wants to take down the heavy-hitter villains, he's all in. They supply him with an all-new uniform and resources for his mission into the depth of the weirdest parts of the DCU, including a new partner, Black Canary. Wait, what? Enjoy explosions, kick-ass action, and new outrageous adventure as DC's meanest SOB, also with the dots between the letters, gets tangled up in a major mystery building in the shadow of the DCU. So, you got Deathstroke, you got Black Canary, you've got a mystery, weird corners of the DCU. I'm in. You got me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Black Canary, teaming with Deathstroke doesn't seem like a team up that you would often think of. There's a podcast out there where they talk about the creation of the show The Office, and one of the things they talk about is what they called odd, or they have the term for it, but it's basically unlikely team ups. You know, it's putting two characters together that don't seem to go together to see what story will come out. And to me, that's what this feels like.
Yeah. Now, I do find it interesting. It's Howard Porter, who I love his art anyway. But I love the fact that he's wiping the blood off the blade with Batman's cape and cowl. Mm-hmm. But that has got to be the longest katana ever made. It's like a katana merged with a bastard sword.
Yeah. I mean, look how far the hilt goes down below his hand.
Yeah.
I didn't even pay attention to that.
Yeah, that's a freaking long sword.
That is a long sword. How do you even... You can't even wield that sword.
That would be a two-handed katana, which, I mean...
is a bastard sword.
Yeah.
So. All right. Let's move on to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Is that Black Sad?
Is it?
It looks like Black Sad.
This is Sophie Campbell and Jody Nishiyama. An all-out confrontation as the Mutanimals clash with the Splinter Dojo for the fate of Mutant Town. Will the TMNT be able to keep their students from harm and take the fight to Old Hob? Yeah, that's who that is, Dan.
Oh, cool.
That's why this book is on the list.
Oh, okay.
Because you don't see them that often.
Yeah, but when I see an anthropomorphic or whatever they call it cat with an eye patch, I think Black's it.
Yep, it's Old Hob. So yes, this is a Mutanimal story in TMNT, and in every kind of way, this is exactly what this series needs right now. It's gotten a little heavy. It's gotten a little dark between Last Ronin and the Jenica stories and them creating new mythos in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle world. To just take and do a story that's straight out of the Archie version, you know, with the mighty Mutanimals, is going to be a nice little lift.
I have to admit something, talking about going dark. Sean comments, TMNT is my jam, always have been. And I saw TMNT as my jam, and I thought, can you make jam out of turtles? I wonder what turtle jam tastes like.
Terrapin jam?
Yeah, terrapin jam.
You ever have terrapin soup?
No, I haven't had terrapin soup or turtle soup, no.
It's gross. But it's certainly something to try once in your life.
Yeah.
Luckily for us, and this is no turtles were harmed in the making of terrapin soup. It is super illegal most places to make turtle soup. So you have to make artificial turtle soup.
How do you get artificial turtle meat?
You don't. It's usually a different shellfish. But it's produced in the same way turtle soup would be produced. At least on the East Coast it is. So just know that if you do go someplace and it says terrapin soup, it's probably not actually turtle.
Well, now I'm disappointed.
Well, it's because turtles are so, like, the breeds of turtles that you would use to make turtle soup are super, like, at risk.
You know, I'm not much of a meme guy, but there's one meme I would love to be able just to throw up in real life every once in a while, and that's the Kevin Sorbo disappointed one. Disappointed!
I dislike Kevin Sorbo. I will tell you that story another time.
I understand, but
I have a
story behind it.
I have a blood feud with Kevin Sorbo.
Okay.
It's pretty one-sided. I know about it, and I don't think he does. Yeah. But he also had tried to have me removed from a Comic-Con once. So it's not totally one-sided. Should I tell the story now?
Well, you led into it.
So when Kevin Sorbo made that movie God is Dead, Kevin Sorbo never landed Lucy Lawless. Lucy Lawless is married to a guy named Rob, who is a producer on Army of Darkness and Evil Dead and all of those Bruce Campbell Raimi's movies. So they were never together, just as a thing, Sean Butler. So anyhow, he made that movie God is Dead. And then they announced that they were making God is Dead 2. Having somehow gotten tricked into seeing God is Dead 1, I tweeted at Kevin Sorbo, God is Dead 2, Return to the Thunderdome, starring Kevin Sorbo reprising his role as Hercules and The Rock as Satan. He blocked me on Twitter. Then we were at a Comic-Con a few months later, and he was plugging it, and I go, so when you blocked me on Twitter, is that because I got too close to the actual script, or because I somehow offended your faith? And he goes, I can't say, but security, and tried to have me escorted out of the Comic-Con. So I'm guessing I guessed the plot of the movie and ruined it because it never came out. So that is my blood feud with Kevin Sorbo. Never try to have me removed from a Comic-Con. Also, if I guess the script, make the movie. So, but shout out to Hercules and Xena. Those were kind of important shows in my childhood.
Oh yeah, they were good. They were entertaining.
Yes. And Sean, you weren't lied to, but you were misinformed. All right, this book we've talked about before. This is Corset, #1 from Scout Comics. This is one of those books that sometimes our release dates get a little mixed up on. I'm just going to give you the quick pitch on this. This is Willy Wonka Wears Steampunk. This fashion designer is never had his face seen, but all of his work is great. Turns out that there's more to the story than that. So, this one. Okay, this is from Action Lab Comics. Dan, can you guess why I picked this book?
You like the color green?
Yeah, that's it. This is Mark Bertolini and Vernon Smith. There is no solicitation because it doesn't need it. This one is Bigfoot Frankenstein. Or Bigfoot Frankenstein, depending on how you feel. This is what would happen if Dr. Frankenstein really messed up and created Bigfoot rather than the monster he intended to create. This monster, will he save the world or destroy it?
I'm leaning towards destroy by the cover.
As am I, but, it gave me an excuse to say Frankenstein.
Yes. He's got really big hands.
Big feet, big hands. Makes sense.
He's going to be awful popular with the ladies. I was trying to set you up for that joke.
All right, this is Crueler Than Dead. This is from a Blaze manga. So, normally we wouldn't really talk about manga, but this is a Blaze manga. So, a Blaze being the comic book publisher that we've often talked about. This is the best of gore from Japan. Crueler Than Dead features fast-paced and extremely graphic violence, concealing none of the absolute horror and requiring a strong heart and stomach. No one knows where it started, but when the world finally realized what was going on, it was already too late. When Maki Agagi, wakes up in a lab full of corpses, she learns from a dying soldier that she is the result of a last-ditch experiment to cure humans of a virus turning them into zombies. Accompanied by a young boy who miraculously escaped, she will have to try to get to the very center of a devastated Tokyo filled with bloodthirsty monsters. The dome located there contains the last survivors of mankind. Humanity's very survival depends solely on a few drops of this miraculous vaccine. Inspired by Kachihiro Otomo, who wrote Akira, The Walking Dead, Romero classics, and new zombie films like 28 Days Later, Crueler Than Dead delights in meticulous, gory details of decomposed flesh and a wicked and hungry eye, evoking a modern vision of a zombie world that is terrifying, tension-filled, and unsettling. So this is 208 pages for $13. So yeah, this is a manga. Like, it's one of two, and it's an American style. It's an American story manga style written by manga writers. So pretty interesting in my opinion.
Nice.
Let's see. The next thing on the list, Wonder Woman Black and Gold.
Yes. Now, I love these books where they're focusing on a certain aspect of the character and they're narrowing it down to just certain colors, because I think it really gives a chance not only to showcase the character, but also to bring in a lot of creators who might not get a normal shot at doing these particular characters. Like the list on this one is great. It's Cena Grace, Andrew Constant, Nettie Okafor, Paul Azaceta, Andrew McLean, Nicholas Scott, who of course has done some great stuff on Wonder Woman, Leonard Romero, and Jack T. Cole. And it says mods, myths, and might and mystery. This month's stories are literally out of this world. You won't want to miss Diana traveling to deep space, going toe-to-toe with a feathered friend from her past, and heading back to the 60s for an unexpected mod-era tale. All this and more in an issue jam-packed with tales trimmed in Wonder Woman's signature gold. So black, white, and gold. Yeah, I do. I just love these books. And again, when they really get to kind of focus down on a character and tell stories like that, I think it's just great stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like the paring down of the more complex stories from characters like Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman that they've done. Let's take a lot of the what's the word I'm looking for here, Dan?
Continuity.
Production.
Oh, yeah.
Let's take a lot of the production out of it and just tell a story.
Yeah.
And to me, this is a great way to do that. It's a great way to simplify. It's a great way to pare down. A great way to make everything run smoother. So,
yep.
Super excited. I what I want now is a Green Lantern one. That's just Green Lantern, green. And it's just him like as a pot dealer.
All about the Benjamins.
Yes. Yeah. Ooh, Green Lantern working in a bank. Like, you know, he's undercover deep inside the banking institution on some planet. Like, but I love the idea of being able to tell a complex story simply, and that's what they do here. So,
a Green Lantern heist where he uses the ring to make it look like the money's still there as they're escaping.
I think you need to pitch that. All right, we got time for maybe one more book before the break, and we'll do Thor number 17.
Yeah, I don't normally pick books that are the end of a run, but Donny Cates has been doing such a great job on this series. Michelle Benini is the artist on this, and this is the epic finale of Revelations. Thor, ruler of Asgard, can now focus on just that, ruling. But with power comes truth, and Thor will learn that being king isn't so simple. When havoc on Midgard begins, Mjolnir seems to have vanished under the Avengers' watch, and Thor must learn more than one truth this day. The shocking conclusion of Revelations that no one will see coming is here. And normally a lot of that seems like hyperbole, but when it comes to Donny Cates, it does seem like he's really good at giving you the surprise endings. So, and missing Mjolnir is right there. Just that gets my attention too. So,
yeah, I mean, you picked a book that's the end of a run, and I actually picked a book that's the end of a run. That's interesting to me. I haven't kept up on Donny Cates' Thor. I didn't. I'll be honest. I might have been one of the few people who early on wasn't all about this book. I read the first 4 or 5 issues and was like, It seemed like a lot of speculator hype, and I didn't think the book was that good. Coming down towards the end, as I've been hearing more and more about the last few issues, I may have judged too quickly and probably should have just kept reading the intermittent 12 issues. But, it's been an interesting run, and where he seems to be leaving it sets it up for an interesting future.
Yeah, absolutely.
So since we have a couple minutes still, we'll do the book that's the end of my run, which is Amazing Spider-Man 875 or 74, depending on your political views. This is the end of the
Kindred Saga?
Yes, thank you. I just had a complete brain restart. So this is Nick Spencer, Patrick Gleason, Mark Bagley. The Amazing Spider-Man 875 and the whole ASM team is coming together to bring you a massive issue that is the culmination of 3 years of Amazing Spider-Man. It's all led to this: Hunted, King's Ransom, Chameleon Conspiracy, Sinister War, and so much more has all led to this climax and conclusion to Nick Spencer's landmark run on the best comic book in the world. What will happen when Peter, MJ, Mysterio, J. Jonah Jameson, Norman Osborn, Aunt May, and Kindred find out here.
Is that a Larson cover? Trying to read the signature on the cover.
It certainly looks like it, but no, it's a Gleason cover.
Okay, Patrick Gleason. It's a cool cover.
Because there are variants from Mark Bagley, John Dell, Alejandro Sanchez, Sonny Glau, Sarah Pichelli, Marco Cicchetto, Alex Maleev, Nolan Woodard, Ron Friends, Gabriel Delato, Leno Francis Yu, Inhyuk Lee, Carlos Gomez, Peach Momoko, Alan Qua, Israel Silva, Federico Vincenti, like everybody.
Yeah.
And that's just not naming them all. That's just naming the ones I knew. So, like I said, this is a big deal. It's the end of this Kindred saga. And my understanding is that it wraps it up in a neat little bow, but doesn't exactly tie the bow closed. So there's opportunity for more of this story. Like it's over, but it's not done. Does that make sense? Does that English make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, good, because I was a little worried there.
It wraps up the saga, but still leaves threads to play with.
Yeah, if they wanted to come back to it, there's plenty of place for them to do so.
Yeah. Looking at the number 875, that means within just about 2 years, we're going to get a 900th issue of Spider-Man.
Yep, and in about 4 years, we're going to get 1,000.
No, that would be more like 7, 8, almost 10 years.
No.
12 books a month?
Hold on. 875, not 975. We're good. Never mind.
Yep.
I was doing the math wrong.
We're going to take a break. Kyle needs a moment to restart his brain, and we'll be right back after these commercials.
Thank you, Dan.
To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey, and behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
Dan, did you read that last rejoinder I played?
Yeah.
Do you think I should be concerned about JD?
JD came up with that one?
Yeah.
I actually like that one.
Yeah, JD came up with all of those.
Those are good.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I help, but he really comes up with most of them. But in my head, now all I'm hearing is Lawyers, Guns, and Money by Warren Zevon.
Well, by the way, the answer is we should always be worried about JD.
We should always be worried about JD. There have been times where I've thought I should call Dan and have him drive up to JD's house and just knock on the door in the middle of the night. Like, because Dan's a big dude and JD scares easy.
Yeah, we want that to happen.
Well, just as a prank between old friends.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to get called JD had a heart attack. So,
if you know him, you should send Kevin Graveau instead.
Or the other story is JD hit Dan in the face with a frying pan. Because he finally decides to defend himself or something. Those are always my worries. But no, shout out to JD. That one was hysterical.
Yes.
We've got some more coming out, but we're rolling them out slowly, including one that I wrote that just says grilled cheese. That's it. Grilled cheese.
I hate grilled cheese.
Right, but no one has a non-opinion on grilled cheese. They either love it or they hate it.
My mother loves grilled cheese sandwiches, and I cook all the time here now. And I cooked a lot of very ornate meals, chicken a la king, Szechuan pork. I do a lot of recipes now. She's always happiest when I make grilled cheese sandwiches.
You should make her a Monte Cristo.
I love Monte Cristos, but I need a deep fryer to do it properly.
That's fair, but you make a fancy grilled cheese. So, all right. We're going to start with a book called Unborn. This is from Source Point Press.
Yes, Sean. Unborn made the list. He was asking when the show started if Unborn was going to make the list.
It did make the list. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it because it's sold out a lot of places. But it's Frank Gogol and Ev Cantata from Source Point Press. On a strange world, 5 explorers mine for super fuels in a last-ditch effort to save a collapsing Earth. But the mission goes to hell when they are overrun by a hostile alien species. With humanity's survival hanging in the balance, the crew must eradicate the deadly horde and salvage the mission. But what if the monsters aren't the only things they have to worry about? What if the most dangerous threat facing the crew is each other? Gee, we're just going to go to a planet, harvest their resources, and then kill them? Sounds like a good story. I'm kidding. I made that joke to Frank when he sent me the PDF way back in the day. I go, gee, you could have just called it Space Columbus.
I'm curious if guns exist in this universe.
Why does that dude have a hammer?
Yeah, why are they bringing a hammer, an axe, and a sword when there's a gun? Gun allows me to stand over here and shoot you over there. Axes, you got to be a little closer. Hammer, swords, you got to be a little closer. Safe distance gun.
Hey, the one guy just has a shield.
Because that's a badass.
That's fair. No, I give Frank a hard time because Frank gives me a hard time.
I don't know Frank, but I'm going to give him a hard time anyway.
Yeah, no, but it's I wish him all the success in the world on this book. I know it's sold out at a couple of levels already, so just be cool if you can't get it. We did the Thors. Here we go. Berserker number 5.
Every time I see this title, I think of Kevin Smith's Clerks and the guy singing Berserker in the parking lot. Berserker. Please.
But the reason I bring this up is this is Berserker number 5, and also out this week is Berserker Volume 1, the first 4 issues in trade paperback form. Guys, this book just keeps going, keeps getting good, keeps staying good. There's not been any kind of drop off at all in the first 5 issues. And Keanu has not backed down in his relentless pursuit of promotion for this book. I'm sitting at the doctor the other day. Keanu's on Good Morning America going, hey, you know what else you guys should check out? My comic book. Like, they want to talk to him about The Matrix, and he wants to talk about Berserker. Like, there's something to be said for that, right? Like, The Matrix is going to make him a lot more money. The Matrix is going to make him, put his name in front of a lot more people. But he's on Good Morning America telling Robin Roberts, check out my comic book. Like,
props to Keanu.
Right. That's what I'm saying, is that's the kind of, one of the things that the comic book industry has oft suffered from is a lack of press that's accessible to all people.
Yeah.
We've got great media, we've got great news sources inside the industry for people inside the industry. But there's often been a missing link of getting people like my grandmother to understand comic books. She'll never understand comic books, but she sees Keanu on Good Morning America and she goes, Kyle, did you know about a comic book from that guy from The Matrix? And I'll be like, yes, Grandma, I've been talking about it every week for 9 months. But it's
so many things and all of that to take.
Can I just tell you, my grandma's an absolute badass when it comes to movies. Like, she was the one who showed me Lethal Weapon. Like, I'll call her up and she'll be like, I'm watching a movie. And I'll be like, what movie? And she'll be like, The Quick and the Dead. I'll be like, all right, cool. I'm on my way. Do you have cake? I'm on my way.
I love the shot through the head scene. That is so cool.
Right. Grandma does not fool around when it comes to movies. So she's a big Keanu fan. Yeah. And so that,
You go over and watch Many Saints of New York with her or Newark?
No, I've not. No. We tend to watch classics. So we'll watch Westerns, we'll sit and watch The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly or.
Then you got to go. Have you seen the trailer for The Harder They Fall?
I have.
That looks awesome.
Actually, before I leave on vacation tomorrow, I'm going over to watch the new Clint Eastwood HBO flick.
Cry Macho?
Yeah.
Haven't heard very good about that.
But we've seen every Clint Eastwood Western together.
Yeah.
So.
But no, The Harder They Fall looks awesome.
Yes, it does. So Grandma knows about The Matrix and she knows about Berserker now. And that's because Keanu is doing the work. So shout out to Keanu.
Is she as negative about the MCU as you are?
She's never seen a superhero movie that I know of. She's never talked to me about them. Again, she likes more traditional, like The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 kind of action movies.
All right, so
Grandpa will watch an Avengers movie or a Guardians movie, but Grandma is more of a shoot 'em up, blow 'em up, rob a bank kind of.
Does Grandma like Silverado?
We've never discussed it, but I'm sure she does.
Because that's my favorite Western of all time.
Yeah, we've never discussed it specifically, but I'm sure she does. I know that her favorite Clint Eastwood is A Few More Dollars. Or a few dollars more. Yeah. A few dollars more. And mine is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So, I'll ask her about Silverado. Okay, here we go. We'll keep moving on to new books because we still have a bunch.
Yes, we do.
Human Remains from Vault Comics.
He's got something on his neck.
He does. I would like to think it's a hickey, but unfortunately I know it's not. It's a tattoo. Dax and Bisa love each other. But in this new terrifying world, love is dangerous. Feeling anything is dangerous. Earth has a new and terrible invader, monsters that deprive us of the very feelings that make us human. A shocking tale of pent-up emotions, perilously loud sex, and forced composure in the face of unspeakable horror from one of the most celebrated writers in comics, Peter Milligan, who wrote X-Force, Enigma, Shade the Changing Man, and Hellblazer, and breakout horror artist Sally Cantorino, who did I Walk with Monsters and The Final Girls. So this is a story about how you need to keep your emotions buried deep inside, and if you don't, the aliens come for you.
That seems repressive.
I'm gonna throw up the 1 in 15 cover here.
Okay.
Just because I think that is an insane cover. There it is. It's loading. It's loading. It's loading. It's loaded.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Don't feel anything, guys. If you need to read books about stoicism, I recommend them.
Mildly recommend.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. After the Fall.
Good cover.
Yeah, very cool cover. This is from Magnetic Press. It is a full 96-page trade, or OGN. It's a hardcover. Earth, 116 years after the fall. Gayala and her tribe live amongst the ruins of a metropolis turned upside down. When a gang of slave traffickers attacks them, the men are executed and the women are enslaved. Narrowly escaping, Gayala has only one thing in mind: to rescue the children of the tribe and set things right. A dystopic tale of revenge and discovery as the central heroine encounters new allies and enemies in her search for security and justice. Along the way, she meets a band of mutants with strange powers that will ultimately lead to the discovery of the ultimate secret, the source of the cataclysm that led to the fall. Written by Laurent, Laurent Quassi, Queyssi, and art by Juzhen, Juzhen. The cover kind of has a Red Sonja meets Vampirella feel.
Yeah, a bit.
But also from a dystopian future.
Little Barbarella, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, definitely Barbarella. I didn't draw that connection, but yes, 100%. Basically the Dynamite Girls.
Yeah.
Maybe we should ask Nick why this isn't there. Feels right up his alley.
It does.
But Magnetic Press, man. If you haven't been following them, keep an eye on them. They have some people. They've brought in some people from around the industry to work there that really, to me, are going to raise their whole level.
You will find yourself drawn to them.
Well, in the words of Keegan Michael Key, a ho nubba lebo. So just make sure you keep an eye on Magnetic Press. Cinnamon number 3 from Behemoth. Just remember, this is a cat that fights things. Sonya Versal.
Yes. Hell Sonja on the cover. Before we get into the solicitation, there is a cosplayer online named Gracie the Cosplay Lass, and she does a lot of the covers for Dynamite, the cosplay covers. She has nailed a cosplay of Hell Sonja. Check out her Instagram or her Twitter. It is freaking amazing. She's done a great job on that. This is Christopher Hastings and Pasquale Quilano. And this is issue number 8 in the far-flung sci-fi future. Purple Sonja and her mech act as scouts for a space pilgrimage of the remaining members of humanity fleeing Earth. This scouting is made difficult by the return of Purple Sonja's greatest enemy, Kaiju, descending upon her. Her demise is all but assured until she receives help from Hell Sonya? So we are getting what seems to be kind of a manga-ish Sonya, purple Sonya, with her mech suit, and versus a kaiju, and then Hell Sonya joins the fight. This has been a lot of fun. It is multiverse Red Sonya. This and Vampaverse is Dynamite just having a ton of fun with these characters. So you want something different, and this Lucio Perillo cover is just great.
Yeah, no. I want to stop reading Sonyaversal.
Okay, why?
Because I want to wait for the trade. However, every time one comes out, we do it on this show, and I'm like, well, crap. Guess I'm buying that one tomorrow. You know, I'm reading so much. Like we talked about earlier, my pull list is projected at $200 this week.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to be able to take some books, especially that books that I know I'm going to love, like Sonyaversal, and be like, I'm just going to get the trade and be done. Why it got to be like this between us, Sonyaversal?
I'm sure Christopher Hastings likes the idea of you buying each individual issue, and Nick probably does too.
Oh, absolutely. It's I'm going to buy him anyway, but like I can't stop reading it is the big problem. I would buy him anyway because I want the covers. But I would love to be able to just take a break from reading it and get the trade and binge it all out. But every week, man, I got to read it. Every time it comes out, it just hooks me. And I'm like a fish, you know, trying to swim upstream. It's not worth doing. So Sean says one of his bosses at his company is a pretty big fan of this whole universe with Red Sonja and Vampirella. Tell Nick. That's the kind of thing he loves to hear.
Yep.
We like to hear it too, but Nick really likes it.
Oh, yeah.
All right. This Inferno number 1.
Yeah, this looks like a bad day for the X-Men, doesn't it? And Mr. Sinister. I don't know. Is he an X-Men nowadays? They change sides so much. Inferno number 1. Jonathan Hickman. Valerio Schiti. The culmination of Jonathan Hickman's X-Men begins. There will be an island, not the first, but the last. Promises were made and broken. The rulers of Krakoa have been playing a dangerous game with a dangerous woman, and they are about to see how badly that can burn them. Mastermind powerhouse writer Jonathan Hickman brings his plan to a head, joined by an incredible lineup of artists, beginning with Valerio Schiti, as one woman follows through on her promise to burn the nation of Krakoa to the ground. Yeah, this seems pretty intense.
Right? Like, this sounds like a place where we can start to see an end. Of this kind of Hickman verse.
Yeah. And I mean, and those aren't lightweights laying on the ground there. That's Storm, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Mr. Sinister, Magneto, Xavier, Mystique, the White Queen. I'm not sure who the guy with the cape is. Or the girl in the skirt. But the rest, I mean, they're all heavy hitters.
Well, so the guy in the cape and the girl in the skirt, you'll remember from the beginning of House of X.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, this feels like a place where that whole Hickman verse thing can start to wrap up or come to a to steal a term from another Marvel product, a Nexus event.
Yeah. I feel sorry for whoever is the writer that takes over after Hickman. Unless it's me, and then I wouldn't feel sorry for me because I'd be happy to do it. But yeah,
you'd still feel sorry for yourself because how you gonna live up to it? But you're right. You're 100% right. Hickman has infused a level of passion back into the X-Men and all the surrounding teams and groups. Inferno is not one that you often see as a top line X-Men team.
Yeah.
But with Hickman doing it, it really does have that kind of power.
Yeah, and this isn't just Hickman plotting for some other writer. This is Hickman doing the scripts.
Yep. I'll be sad when it's over. Because I'll have to go back to not caring about the X-Men.
It depends on who the new writer is.
That's fair. I mean, they could get Stan Lee, I suppose.
Yeah.
Or Chris Claremont could come back.
He could.
So,
Yeah.
All right. The next book up is, we talked about that one. And we're going to go Stranger Things, The Tube of Yvonne.
Yes, because they want all of us to have a hard time pronouncing the book.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Great Pack and Diego Galindo. This is a new #1 from Dark Horse. It's January 1985. The Hawkins crew survived their battle with the Mind Flayer, but Will and Joyce are still reeling from the recent death of Bob Newby. Will's friends have been too busy with their girlfriends to notice how much he is struggling. After he and Mr. Clark discover a mysterious map Bob left in a box of old nerdy memorabilia, Will rallies the crew to investigate. Is there a secret hidden in the hills of Hawkins? And my only thought to this solicitation is, yes, of course there's a secret in the hills of Hawkins. There's a secret everywhere in frickin' Hawkins. That's the whole point of the series. Everything is messed up in Hawkins. There's evil everywhere in Hawkins.
I have yet to see a minute of Stranger Things.
Okay.
Is Bob Hellboy?
No. I believe Bob was...
Bob is Rudy?
Yes, Bob was Rudy. Hellboy is Hopper. And he's currently in a Russian prison.
Waiting for Yelena to come and break him out?
Yes, but a different prison. Yes, Hopper's in Russian prison. Red Guardian was in a Russian prison. It's just a coincidence.
There's no such thing as coincidences, Dan.
Sometimes there is.
Bum, bum, bum.
Especially in Hawkins. By the way, the fact the town's named Hawkins makes me laugh every time I think of Matt Hawkins.
That's true. That's very true. That's funny.
Who I need to email tonight. So, okay.
All right. So let's hit one more, and then we're going to take a break.
Alrighty.
And we'll be down to our last handful of books here. This is Joseph Schmalke's Cherry Blackbird. This is number 3, Me Gusta Cocaine. That's a sentence I've said in my life. But Black Caravan imprint Rockstar Cherry Blackbird has less than a year to return 7 wicked souls to hell or be damned herself. Having dealt with 2 of the escapees, she finds herself being hunted by a demonic vampire, Miss Cocaine. It's a violent, over-the-top exploitation story the way you like it. Each issue comes polybagged, which means the insides are grown up.
Or filled with cocaine.
No, Dan, when was the last time you bought a book that came polybagged, like, intentionally? Or, like, not because it had, like, promotionals in it, but they polybagged it because they didn't want people flipping through it?
God, I can't remember. It's been a long time.
For me, it was Sex Criminals, which was Chip Zdarsky and Matt Fraction, which, if you put those two together, you can see why it had to be polybagged. But
true.
I like the idea that this book is so grown up. that it has to be a polybag. If you're hearing Eric Clapton, that explains a lot about your personality. I would say, I'll be honest, because if you look at this and you don't hear the Doors, I think you're wrong. Look at this cover and what song comes to your mind, Dan?
Partridge Family.
All right. Well, because Me Gusta Cocaine is also a sentence Danny Bonaducci has said.
Oh, yeah. And David Cassidy.
Yeah, that's true. And David Cassidy.
Yeah.
But in my brain, like I'm hearing Roadhouse Blues or something, or in a on the other side of the coin, I'm hearing All Along the Watchtower.
I could see that. Dylan or Hendrix?
Hendrix.
Okay.
Actually, U2, but that's just because that's the version I have stored in my memory banks.
You need to delete that.
I recognize that, but it's just because I have the U2 version stored here from Rattle and Hum, but it's just U2 doing Hendrix, so I guess it's okay.
Yeah, as long as you get a 70s band come to mind when you're fine. If you look at that and saw if you looked at that and saw the darkness, then we have a problem.
I believe in a thing called love. Mm-hmm. Or love is only a feeling. Or can you name the Darkness's third hit?
Nope, you had me on the first two.
I'll give you a hint. It's a Christmas song.
I've got the album. I don't remember it, though.
Can anybody in the comments tell me the third hit from British glam rock band The Darkness without Googling? The answer is Don't Let the Bells End, which when I first met them, they were recording and we're calling it Don't Be a Bell End. Which I think is a better title for a song.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back after this commercial break.
To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey, and behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
Welcome back, everybody. Trivia. Wait, no, that's not this show. Different show. Although, if we're going to talk about British rock bands for a minute, did you see what the latest Oasis drama?
I can't keep up with the Oasis drama.
Noel Gallagher is now convinced that Liam Gallagher is a figment of his imagination. Drugs.
Yeah. Your mic's getting kind of weird.
I was very close to it just then. I'm going to back up from it and let it be more normal.
Okay. So Noel thinks Liam's a figment of his own imagination.
Yes, he believes that Liam Gallagher is not real. Again, I say.
Has he ever seen a Blur or not Blur, a Oasis video? Because there does appear to be a Liam.
Again, I say, don't do drugs, kids. All right, let's come back here to Night of the Cadillacs. We talked about this book a little bit last week, but it is officially out this week. In the spirit of the Lost Boys and Warriors, Night of the Cadillacs is a high-octane genre-bending mix of horror, hard action, forbidden love, and street culture. Rival supernatural gangs come to Earth on an overnight raiding mission to retrieve life-restoring blood from humans. While the gangs battle among themselves for prized captives, a defiant and charismatic gang banger breaks free from his crew to go on the run with a rebellious 18-year-old human girl to protect her from his predatory family. As it turns out, she may have some things to do with why these space vampires are in space and vampires. She may be a missing link, and it's important to keep her safe. This is by writer and artist Kirk Manley with cover and additional art by Rob Pryor. We talked about this book last week. If you're a jet, you're a jet for life, man.
Mm-hmm. You just happen to be a space vampire jet.
Right, you just happen to be a space vampire for life. Which somehow sounds better? I don't know. All right, this is I'm completely blanking. My brain. Brain cramp.
Something to do with Edgar Allan Poe?
Edgar Allan Poe's Snifter of Death #1 from Ahoy Comics. Stuart Moore, Mark Russell, Peter Snedberg, Frank Camuso, and Richard Williams. Irreverent Poe-inspired tales of mystery and inebriation return in a new series. Mark Russell and Peter Snedberg expose chocolate vampires, fruit-flavored Frankensteins, and other crunchy creeps in an all-new monster serials thriller. But if we survive that, writer Stuart Moore and artist Frank Camuso chronicle an adventure of Edgar Allan Poe when he was a boy, plus illustrated prose features. So, all right, let's take a minute and talk about Poe, shall we?
Okay.
Poe is an interesting character in that most people know very little about him, but think they know a lot. If you live in the United States, you've probably heard stories in your area about when Al Capone came to town, or when Jimmy Hoffa visited your town, or your town's relationship to H.H. Holmes. I will tell you, historically, most of that is BS. Most of those characters never came to your town. But the mythos is real. Like, people are like, oh, I knew that guy. No, you didn't. But that starts at a local myth, a local legend that continues on. That is largely what has happened to Poe. Most of what people think they know about Poe comes from a slanderous letter written by a rival that was published in a newspaper after his death. Most people who know Poe or who knew Poe or know about Poe know that most of what we know about Poe is incorrect. However, the cool thing about this book, in my opinion, is that it leans into those misgivings, like that Poe was a drunk. Well, everybody was a drunk because booze was safer than water. That he had mental health issues. He didn't, but booze was safer than water. It leans into those kind of things and adds to them what would be a modern take. Oh, yes. Okay. 62 Lefty Blues. The restaurants around the South have Elvis ate here signs. Yes, it's that. Elvis probably never ate there, but some dude that looked like Elvis did. And it was probably Jerry Lee Lewis. So no, that's it's just one of those things. It's interesting when you hear Poe stories, you hear about Poe, the misconceptions and the misrepresentations that often come. But the thing about this book that gives me interest is that it's leaning into the lighter sides of those misconceptions as opposed to the darker ones.
Stray thought during all of that with the mention of Jerry Lee Lewis. I realize now that Nicki Minaj should do a cover of Great Balls of Fire.
Poe, Jerry Lee Lewis, fun fact. Both of them married their cousins.
Along with Rudy Giuliani.
Does that really shock you about Rudy Giuliani?
No.
No.
Nor about Poe or Jerry Lee Lewis.
That's true. Believe it or not, at the time of Poe, the reason you married your cousin, and people would marry their third or fourth cousins more commonly than first cousins like Poe did. Mm-hmm. You got to it kept the family money in the family, and it kept the family name intact. Whereas if you died and you had married outside your family, they got part of your family money. Sean Butler, maybe.
Maybe?
Yes.
Isn't she the head of the Poe Museum or something like that? Or works for the Poe Museum?
She is the publisher at Red Stylo Media. Any jobs beyond that are only peripherally relevant.
Okay.
That's how we'll say that. When I was in Baltimore, I'll tell you guys, I was in Baltimore. I left last Wednesday, and came back last Thursday. The big thing I did was I went and yelled at the Ravens for not being the Browns anymore. Went to the B&O. Yes. Went to the B&O Railroad Museum to play with the trains. Because I don't know any red-blooded American boy who doesn't love trains. And I went to a bar that had duck fat fried French fries.
Nice.
Yes. So, we have one book left.
I had two on my list.
Well, I think we have another instance where we have some of our dates off, Dan.
Oh, okay.
Because I noticed you had Blue and Gold.
Yep.
That does not appear to be out this week.
Okay, and Extreme Carnage.
Oh, Extreme Carnage, yes. We do have two books left. I'm just bad at math.
That's okay. It's a tiny solicitation. But go ahead.
This one is Icon and Rockets. Season 1, number 3. Reggie Hudland, Leon Chills, Andrew Curry, Doug Braithwaite, and Turin Clark. Everyone on Earth and beyond wants them dead. Icon thought he was the only extraterrestrial left on Earth, but unfortunately for him and Rocket, he was very, very wrong. A terrifying enemy he believed long dead is hot on their trail, and to make matters worse, his foe now works for the CIA.
Love this series. Got the first 2 issues.
Yes.
My only thing is when somebody says the name, because back in the day, Icon and Rocket made a lot of sense. Nowadays, I keep picturing a little raccoon running next to him.
Yes, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
there are worse things that could be running along next to him.
True.
So, all right.
Bigfoot Frankenstein.
All right. What?
So you said worst things that could be running next to him. I said, yeah, it could be Bigfoot Frankenstein.
Bigfoot Frankenstein, yes. For those of you who missed out earlier, there's a book called Bigfoot Frankenstein that is giving me a reason to live right now. Bigfoot Frankenstein.
There because that's good entertainment.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of callbacks, Extreme Carnage Omega.
Yes. Philip Kennedy Johnson, Manuel Garcia. This is where it starts to wrap up. But for literally the solicitation says, it all comes down to this. Carnage wins. And that's it. There's your solicitation, folks. Somebody got paid to write those words.
I hope not, I hope they got paid by the word.
That would be nice.
And so they got like 70 cents.
Got a lot. Yeah. This is the other end of the great Bill Willingham Wolf. Yeah. Okay, that's kind of a cool. Is that all the symbiotes together in one?
I don't know, but Spider-Man is saying, I'm not sure this even happened in this book, but I do know it should. Yes, so guys, Extreme Carnage Alpha is the wrap-up of the Extreme Carnage saga that has been brought to you by, well, Carnage.
Yep. And don't forget that Friday opens Venom Let There Be Carnage.
Yes.
The film is getting really, really good reviews. And there is rumors that it might be somehow connected to the MCU.
Yeah, no, it's going to be very interesting to see how this book is somehow tied to that movie. So, for Dan, I've been Kyle. Visit comicshoplocator.com and find comic shops near you. I'm traveling again this weekend next. I have a convention this weekend and New York Comic Con next weekend. So I will be looking for comic shops in and about my area. When I get there, I will go to comicshoplocator.com, type in the zip code where I'm staying, and be like, hey, where's the closest comic book store? You should do that too. Also visit previewsworld.com to find out more about books that are coming out this weekend next. And make sure you contact your local comic book shop to have them added to your pull list.
You know, and if you're at home and you got a bored day, you're not doing much, you've already been to your local comic shop, go to the comic shop locator, throw another area, a zip code in from an area near you, find a nice restaurant and find a comic shop. Make that your day. Go visit a new shop you haven't been to before.
Short road trip.
Yeah. Make a lunch, take a friend, make a day of it,
Right.
It'd be a lot of fun.
I call that comic book vacation.
Yes.
But if you're not doing that, make sure you tune in tomorrow at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific for the Dan Wickline Show.
Yes.
And then on Thursday, again, tune in at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific for the Dan Wickline Show.
Yeah, that guy Dan Wickline gets around.
Yeah. One of those shows is going to be super spoilery, and the other one might be super spoilery too.
As soon as I figure out what the other one's going to be, I'll let you know.
All right, guys. That's going to do it for In-Stores this week. For Dan, I've been Kyle. We will see you next week, where hopefully our pull lists are just as full as this week.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.